Hi, let's dig into title transfer by eminent domain.
Transfer by eminent domain. Condemnation is the legal process of the government to take property from an owner through the power of eminent domain. Any land taken must be for public purpose and not to benefit a private entity. The government is the condemning authority. However, the government can pass that authority on to a private entity, such as utility companies or railroads. The purpose must remain as a public purpose, such as for a right of way, an easement, or to create necessary facilities. The taking of the land must always be for a public purpose and cannot be to the benefit of a private entity. Land is not to be taken simply for the convenience of another. Governments, the condemning authorities, can delegate authority to take property to private entities such as utility companies, railroads, etc., for the right-of-way easements and necessary facilities, as already stated, when doing so is believed to be to the benefit of the public as a whole. State law grants the power of eminent domain to counties, municipalities, utility companies, railroads, transportation authorities, community development districts, water management districts, airports, and the mosquito control districts. There are safeguards with both the United States Constitution and the state constitution to protect the rights of the property owner from being wrongfully taken. Condemnation refers to the process by which the power of eminent domain is exercised. Safeguards are designed to protect the rights of the property owner. To take property for a public purpose means that the property must be available to the public interest must dominate the private gain, and the manner of enjoyment or use of the property acquired must be in control of the public. If you want to see emotions fly, introduce the topic of eminent domain at a party. The right to own and control property is deeply ingrained in our society. Yet, if it wasn't for eminent domain, much of our infrastructure, such as roadways, railways, etc., wouldn't exist. Personally, I have had part of my own real estate taken by eminent domain. It was a house that I owned in Indiana. The highway was in the fruit hills of Bristol. And as part of winding through and up and down and around the scenic hills, the property was deemed substandard compared to current safety designs for modern day highways. Basically, the natural curves and ups and downs of the hills meant that drivers didn't always have good visibility pulling on and off the highway. And a good stretch of the highway lacked a safety shoulder. Plus, the highway often washed out from poor drainage. To bring the highway to modern standards, it involved a major realignment, widening, and installation of drainage ditches. My property, along with my neighbors, was greatly affected. Now, in my case, the state didn't actually alter my property lines. What they did do, though, was to force an extended easement onto my property for the widening and to install ditches. They even took out a 40 by 60 outbuilding that I owned near the road. For myself, it wasn't an overly emotional process. The fact was that my son had just turned 16, and it was nerve-wracking letting him drive, pulling out onto that highway. And the upgrades improved that situation. But others completely lost their property. They were forced to relocate. We were all compensated, but that involves a back and forth trying to ensure that the compensation is fair. As real estate licensees, remember to remain mindful about changes happening in the community. The road project that was forced onto myself and my neighbors was not a surprise. Many community meetings had been held in advance. In fact, I purchased the property knowing that the project was a possibility. But imagine if a buyer purchased a property only to have their front yard cut in half a few months later. The buyer would be looking to the agent as to why they had not been informed about the coming change.